What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my YouTube channel today. Today we're going to be talking about another expanded deck that I've been working on a little bit. Hitmon, Wobb. You guys might have seen it last format. People like John Eng, Stefan Ivanov have all done pretty well with it in the expanded format, making day twos over and over again. Not converting that day two into too much more success. I know John made top 8 at Hartford, I believe, losing to Jose Quazo, which is a little strange because John's had a favorable matchup there. But I think the deck has a lot of potential because it beats things like Turbo Dark, Pika Rom, all these big tag team decks, but does lose to any Mew 3 variant because Wobbuffet does not stop Mew 3, and your small amounts of chip damage probably don't do enough against a Mew 3 deck that can one-shot all of your guys turn after turn and then reset the board with Sky Return. So it does get a little bit tricky when that happens, but that's why we've got this guy in here. Scoop up block. So without further ado, I'm going to get into the list a little bit, the nitty gritty, and explain how it goes. There's one Oranguru for Instruct. Now you may be thinking, Rahul, we can't Instruct when Wobbuffet is active. Yeah, but that's why we're going to retreat into the Hitmonchan to attack and then use Instruct, guys. Come on, use your head here. We've got the Buzzwole with Sledgehammer because a lot of decks... This deck has literally exclusively one prizers besides Buzzwole Pheromosa, which opening would suck. So your opponent has to 1000% play into Sledgehammer, and 120 plus Diancie 140. Choice Band or Muscle Band gives you 160 or 170, and then a Strong Energy puts you at 180 or 190, which is a lot of damage for one energy card. So yeah, we're going to keep this guy in here. And Shrine, that's an extra 10 tick also. So we're pretty much killing almost any just EX Pokemon in the format. GXs, that's a whole different realm, honestly. But we have Diancie because this is definitely the lifeblood of the deck, just getting the extra damage. When Diancie's prized, the games get a little bit longer, which gives your opponents a little more time to kind of find the cards they need to just stabilize and get back into the game, which is a little bit unfortunate. There's 3 Hitmonchans that have the hit and run ability attack, which does 30 damage for a fighting. You may switch this Pokemon with your bench Pokemon. So the idea is that you just hit and run constantly into the Wobbuffet and basically set up your board from there. Then you have Hitmonlee, which has special combo. You may use this attack only if your Hitmonchan used hit and run last turn. This attack does 91 to your bench Pokemon. Opponent's bench Pokemon don't apply weakness and resistance. So the weakness combo just a vanilla 90. This attack is super good to just pick off things that you've already damaged and you can't fight a Guzma or something this particular turn. And in tandem with another card I'm going to show off later, that's why the weakness comes into play, and you can just snipe off and do 180 to something and just get it off the board. We have this Hitmontop. This guy could also be the Kartana that has Free Retreat and Grass one. But I like having finishing combo. So we have Hitmonlee use special combo last turn. This attack does 60 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. So with decks cutting Mime and Mew, because Espeon Deoxys is making its play into Archie's decks as opposed to the Wailord variant, where they do the Towering Splash for all the prizes. This is where Hitmontop comes into shine, because now people aren't playing bench damage, so you can come in with a Hitmontop, do a bunch of damage, and all of a sudden your opponent's board is littered with weak attackers, weak support Pokemon, and you may even be able to go back into the Hitmonlee and snipe off things you need, or just use Hitmonchans to clean up the game. But after you've softened things up, you can Beast Game, because we have no reliable GX attack. We're going to use Nihilego maybe to copy a GX attack at some point in the game, but we can use Beast Game to pretty much just clean up one thing. With a Choice Band or Muscle Band, that puts us at either 70 or 80 damage, and we're going to be softening everything up, so one single Beast Game GX can make a single 1-prizer into a 2-prizer for us, a 2 into a 3, or a 3 into a 4, making the game a little bit faster and a little more pressure on our opponents. So he is the finisher, or you can use him in the mid game to kind of just set up a position where you can take tempo. Yeah, and we have the bench barrier Mew because we can't deal with Towering Splash, so that's going to be one thing we have to deal with on our own end. We can deal with Espeon a little bit better because everybody's a little bit bigger, and Archies can't really deal with a Wobb in the active spot a lot of the time. So this will be pretty good to have a bench barrier ability, and getting bench sniped would suck because everything is so weak in this deck. It's flimsy. This is the star of the deck, I think. This is the reason I want to play the deck. Scoop Up Block Mime. Scoop Up Block Mime basically says your opponent's Pokemon can't have any damage counters on them, and any cards attached to those Pokemon can't be put into your opponent's hand. So I've been seeing a lot of people playing Mew 3 box, which is basically playing You can use Shaman, Sky Return to loop back to your hand, and not die. You have Acerolas, which pretty much means like you don't die. And so you have all these attacks that are like semi-decent, and you have a loop possibility. And then Turbodark is playing Acerola, Pikarom is playing Acerola. All these tag team decks, all these big Zoroark decks, they're all actually playing Acerola. So if you can get the Scoop Up Block Mime online, all these options get instantly negated. So everything that all the damage you have done gets stuck onto the board. And now it makes your opponent have to kill this Mr. Mime. And if they don't kill this Mr. Mime, they lose the game. But if they do kill the Mr. Mime, you play 2 copies of Stretcher. So it's really easy to go find this Mr. Mime again and just put it back onto your bench, which I think is really cheeky and really cute. And I really like this card. There's one Nihilego, because when they get to the 2 price turn, you can use Nightcap, to use one of their really explosive GX attacks if we need to, or we can just use one of their big hard-hitting attacks. So Nihilego acts as a pseudo GX other than Beast Game, depending on how we want to play out the game. There's 4 Wobbuffets because it's the best opener and it is something we need to pivot into. We usually typically use 2 to 3 per game because they are the wall of choice and they need to kind of just be there and live. 110 is a little bit of an unfortunately low number, so a lot of things like Turbodark will kind of blow it up once they start getting set up. But the thing is, hopefully they just don't get set up and we can chip away and take enough prizes before any deck really does get set up, which is the allure of this deck. There's one Adventure Bag, because I think an Adventure Bag is a really good card, because Adventure Bag nets you 3 cards potentially with all the different tools we have in the deck. So an Adventure Bag I think is a really, really good card. There's one Computer Search, because then you need to be getting set up. That's the ace spec of choice. You don't need a dowsing. Like when you look at this list and look at all the multiple items, there's only a few one-ofs where you're like, maybe dowsing would be better here, but no, Computer Search is just better to get set up. There's one Counter Catcher, Custom Catcher, LOL, because we're going to be behind a lot of the time, so being able to Korrina into finding a Pokemon in Counter Catcher, or teammating into a Counter Catcher, and not using your supporter for the turn, like a Guzma, is going to be pretty important. Because while Guzma is really good, having a card that isn't a supporter is very, very strong, as we saw a lot of the time in the last year's formats. Zoroark and Zoropod all utilized a copy of Counter Catcher also, because the card is just broken, and because we're a 1 prize deck, we're almost certainly going to be falling behind first, and eventually we'll take over the game. One Treasure, because a lot of these guys here are treasure searchable. There's 4 Nest Balls, so it's a 5th search card. For the Psychic guys, as opposed to the Fighting guys, because we do have Korrinas to find the Fighting guys. So yeah, there's 2 Rescue Stretchers, because I think having 1 prize kind of sucks. We have a lot of one-of Pokemon, so to get everything back is pretty important, especially the Scoop Up Block Mime or the Bench Barrier Mew. Like, depending on the situation, getting the Stretcher back is really, really important. There's 3 VS Seekers, because a 4th one doesn't really feel necessary, even though we do play multiples of all these, because we do pull multiples of all these supporters except for N, because we don't really need, I don't feel like we need to N a lot of the time. Yeah, that's just my thought on it. I think the N could even be a reset stamp, but I think that's pretty greedy if we do that. There's 3 Shrine of Punishments, because I think that's a Stadium of Choice. You can play Fighting Dojo, but I don't really want to do that, because I think you don't need to. I think the Shrine of Punishment ticks, and having Shrine stick and just spread across the whole board is way more relevant than the damage on the single target. Because given, say they play like a Garb or something, or Silent Lab, then maybe they can get past the Scoop Block Mime. But Shrine gives you the overall spread across the whole board and tags more targets, which gives you a better Hitmontop, better Beast Game, like better outs to do something else later in the game, because they can't heal everything if they have like 4 GXs or EXs on the board, and everything takes a tick. And if they take 3 ticks because the Shrine then you're chilling. Actually, it's actually insane how much value Shrine gets in this deck. There's 2 Guzma, because Guzma is very important. You can go 1 Guzma, 1 Lysander, but a lot of the time we're gonna have Wobb active anyway. So like Wobb Float Stone means like we're not really gonna need to move. There's 2 Korrina, because Korrina is our early game setup supporter, but we also want to Sycamore a lot anyway. So like once we kind of have a board established, we're gonna be Korrinaing for Pokemon plus like one of these fabulous items, which is probably gonna be a tool a lot of the time. So I think Korrina is just a really good supporter. We have an N just like for the sake of getting rid of a bad hand, plus like say we fall super far behind, we need to N, we might need to N. It's just I think in Expanded it's really hard not to just play an N, because I think N is just a really broken supporter. So yeah, it's a fallback strategy. There's 4 Sycamore, because it is the best supporter in the deck, and just seeing 7 new cards like is insane. There's 2 Teammates, because having 1 Teammates prized actually sucks. And Teammates, at some point, we just become the lifeblood of the deck. We just start going Teammates chain every single turn, getting exactly what 2 pieces we need to make things happen. There's 1 Choice Band three float stones, 3 muscle bands, and a wide lens. These are my tools of choice. I think choice muscle, the split is fine. You can go 1, 2 even, and then make this a 4th float stone, which is something I have been considering because moving the Wobb is very, very important as opposed to having the tools to do more damage. So that can actually be a very big change that you guys may want to do, depending on how your testing goes. So far, I think my testing thinks this is fine, but I might do it the more I go. Wide lens is super broken because now you can special combo the bench for 180 damage and just kill something like a Dedenne, which is now going to be expanded. You can just pop a Darkrai GX, which is going to be expanded. You can pop a lot of these random things and just take a free 2 prizes with Hitmontop. Because if you're giving up the Wobb block, it has to be for something important, I think. Because you get to let your opponent play the game. There's 4 strong energies. Just good card to get the damage. There's 4 prism energies and everything that can use it. And there's a psychic. Now, the psychic is the energy count that I'm unsure on. It could be a counter energy or it could be a beast energy also. I was thinking about both those options. Maybe even a grass energy, so use Pheromosa. I have it as a psychic so we can use Nihilego. Is my only thought process. Because I think like having a 1 extra card to use Nihilego is really powerful. Because I think this card is a card that does win games at some point in time. But it could also be a counter energy or a beast energy. So that being said, that's my thoughts on it. It could be either. And you can attack with Wobb, technically, I guess. At some point, once you've done enough damage, counters to everything, because Wobb does have an attack that does do a lot of damage. Psychic Crystal does do a ton once you've chipped away at them significantly. So, that being said, that is my hit and run list. It does have room for improvement. I don't know what to tech for expanded right now, so this is like a very bare bones, basic like deck list that you guys can use to kind of get a feel for the expanded format as we're going, because there are so many decks that you do need to worry about, so it does get a little bit overwhelming. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please remember to like the video, subscribe for more content, and leave in the comments below your suggestions, like what you want to see next, that kind of stuff. And I do stream on Twitch Mondays through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so be there or be square. Thank you so much for watching this video.